welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
This is Sharon with Syosset Library's Turn the Page podcast, and I'm very excited for today's special guest because not only is he an award-winning and best-selling author, he is somebody that I went to school with back in the day. So Michael, please introduce yourself.
Sharon, thank you. So great to see you. I'm Michael Okon. I think, Sharon, we were in kindergarten together, right? Miss Lustig?
So, Miss Lustig back at AP Willits, right around the corner.
Yeah, so like we're going Syosset strong right now. Yeah, like I've known you, 37 years at this point, which is...
Oh my goodness, don't date us, but yes.
So I'm Michael Okon. I have written under 3 names. I have about 20 books out. The most recent ones are some really big stuff happening with my most recent books. But it's been an incredible journey.
You're all over the place, which I love because that gives us a lot of different avenues to discuss. But I was going to start by saying that I recently read Monsterland and I enjoyed it very much. I thought, first of all, it was fast-paced, had great characters, and most importantly, as I'm reading it, right, imagine watching it on screen because I'm getting a taste of a little Jurassic Park meets The Walking Dead. And could you just please tell our listeners a little bit about the book? And
oh my God! All right. So first and foremost, that book that you have right now,
yes,
that was the self-published version of Monsterland. That doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, it does in the Syosset Public Library.
Yeah, I know. I got picked up by an agent. Monsterland actually became published by a commercial publisher. That was back in like 2000, I would say like 17. It got picked up, and stuff was happening with it. And then it was optioned by this guy named Jordan Kerner, who did the Smurfs, and he did all these big movies in like the late 90s and everything. And he optioned my book. He hired 2 Disney screenwriters to write a draft of a pitch for Monsterland. And Monsterland is about a theme park with monsters. It's about this, guy is a high school teenager named Wyatt. And we knew each other back in the day like that. So there was a lot of me in Wyatt. He's got to save his date in this theme park with real werewolves, vampires, and zombies. And God, where do I even begin to tell you what's happening right now at the book? So I just bought the rights back, the publishing rights back.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's off Amazon now. My manager hired an award-winning screenwriter, a Nickel Fellowship winner. And when I say Nickel Fellowship, that is the Oscars for screenwriters without actually being the Oscars. It's one step lower than the Oscars, but it's strictly for screenwriting. This guy, Walker McKnight, won the Nickel Fellowship, and now he has written a feature film screenplay of my book, Monsterland. So he adapted the novel into a film script. And then today, can I give the date? This is not going to age the podcast.
That's right. Well, no, this will probably air in the summer. So please give today's date. So yeah.
June 1st, 2021. The second draft is in my manager's hands, and I'm waiting any day to get the second draft. And my manager thinks he's going to sell this screenplay based on my book to a major studio. And I'm already up to the 5th book in the series.
Oh
so
my goodness.
Book 1 was published, book 2 was published, and then I have book 3, the manuscript ready. Book 4, I'm like halfway through, and then I've already started beating out book 5. So this is like a big thing. This is not just some like one and done type book. So
no, it's awesome. And I, as I was reading it, I was like, oh, where's it going to go next? And I saw that you had the sequel out and, kind of introduced some new characters there. But I didn't realize it was, you were going being so prolific with this series. And that's so exciting because it really, one scene in particular, can I just talk about? So of course, you have a monster theme park and things are going to go wrong. Like that's, the whole exciting part about it. Right. So when they are sort of doing like the ride through, and there was that one ride with the werewolves.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like the werewolf run, that
The
part where there's
Werewolf River Run. That was my favorite chapter I've ever written in a book.
honestly, I get it, because it was my favorite. Like I really was reading it and I was like, oh my God, and it's getting more narrow and they're going through and I absolutely, it was like heart pounding.
So I gotta tell you, that book that you have is 65,000 words. That was actually one of my smaller books. My book Monsterland, the published one, was also about 65 to 68,000 words. I added a few things. The book that the movie's based off of, I added an additional 35,000 words. So that's a little under 100,000 words. This new manuscript that I have, that I'm expecting my agent, my literary agent, to go, once the script is sold, to go and get a deal at a big publishing firm. So that's the game plan.
That is such an exciting time then to be talking about this, because
It really is.
we'll be able to see all these great things happen. And so the funny thing, okay, so talking about the version of the book, the pen name that it was written under, Michael Philip Cash. And the funny thing was, now you came to a Syosset Library local author event. Yes. And I was unaware that it was you at the event because of the pen name. And I found out after the fact, because you had so generously donated some copies to our collection, and it was your sci-fi YA collection. I wrote it down.
The Battle for Duratia. Yes.
That's it. I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. Duratia. Yeah. So that was my first time, and I actually flipped over the book and I was like, didn't recognize local author. Oh, wait a minute. He looks familiar. And I had to do a little,
That is so funny.
Yeah. So that's actually how I found out that you were an author. And, I've been following you, and I know you just recently joined some social media. So we reconnected recently.
Definitely.
But yeah, so tell me a little bit about, so you write a lot of different things. It's not just fiction. It's not just horror.
Yeah.
Tell me about, like, what are you writing?
I'll tell you the journey. And for as long as I've known you, I've always loved to write. Always. It was in my blood. It was in my DNA. I'm like, looking back at the stories I was writing in kindergarten, obviously it wasn't feature film worthy, but I was writing consistently. And then I went to college. I went to CW Post, Long Island University. And I was obsessed with screenplays, writing screenplays. I actually pitched a few screenplays to people, to some big producers, and, just writing. And it was kind of always in my spare time. And I never looked at it like, oh, I got to write tonight. It was always some kind of therapy for me. So I got married. I started having children, and I got really big into the law of attraction. And I read The Secret, and I read all these law of attraction books, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, and The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And I started really diving into, the universe and everything. And I said, I always wanted to write a book. And I was writing screenplays, and I said, I always wanted to write a book. And it's like the universe answered. I was on Amazon one day. I was scrolling down. It said self-publish with us. And it took me to this website called Create Space. And I saw that you can write a book and self-publish it with Amazon. So I wrote this book. I first bought the domain. It was called, I was like going to do like an Ask the Universe. And then it wasn't available. I said, well, why don't you just ask the universe? And I bought Just Ask the Universe. And I wrote this little 100-page book about how to get anything you want in life. Now it really cuts to the core. It's a blueprint for self-worth, to a blueprint for success. And I wrote it. It's 100 pages, and I self-published it. And I didn't want my real name out there yet. I was, I'm in a family business, and Michael Okon was really dedicated to this family business. So I chose my middle name, and I chose Michael Samuels. Samuel is my middle name. So I self-published it. It's 10 years later, right? That book, I can't believe it's the 10-year anniversary of Just Ask the Universe. And it's still in the top 100 most read books on Amazon in spirituality.
Wow. Congratulations.
I get emails from people all over the world, every corner of the world, about how I helped them get the job they wanted, how they got the spouse they wanted, how they started the business, all with this little 100-page self-help law of attraction book. And I said, gosh, if I could write a self-help book, and that thing took me 3 weeks to write. I would love to start writing books, like start writing these, novels, because I know how I like to tell stories. The stories I read are, some are great and some are not so great. So I said, I want to start writing my own stuff. So I started taking out all of my screenplays from the closet, from my closet that I had, and I started fleshing out these screenplays into actual books. So I chose this moniker, and again, I didn't want Michael Okon to be named as this author, so I chose Michael Philip Cash, and Philip because I was obsessed with the actor Philip Seymour Hoffman at the time, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
And then I was listening to a lot of Johnny Cash.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was like, Michael Philip Cash. And
Yeah.
my brother and I bought the domain, and my mom became my publicist. And I started taking all these old scripts and I started turning them into novels. And I became this indie sensation, this kind of like this hit indie author. And we started pulling in some pretty decent money per month selling these books all over Amazon. My mom opened a Facebook page for me. And again, I wasn't on Facebook. I wasn't on anything growing up. I mean, in the last 15 years, I wasn't on any social media. My mom and her team were doing that. They were doing Instagram, they were doing Twitter, they were doing Facebook. And long story short, I got picked up, and it was Monsterland. I got an agent to do Monsterland, and they said, we're interested. And I'll spare you the details on that. Fast forward to today, but I have a manager who he was on my podcast. My brother and I have a podcast called Oaken Bros,
Mhm.
and we interviewed him, and he was he put Shrek on the screen. He did Hook.
Wow.
He did the Karate Kid. I mean, so this guy's like an old school Hollywood power player, and I was introduced to him by my attorney, who is, I call her the Illuminati. She's the one pulling the strings behind all of everything. This woman put The Simpsons on air.
Oh, wow.
So I got in with these people
Yeah.
all through just publishing my works and putting it out there and having my mom publicize it. And right now, today, my book Monsterland is turned into a feature film screenplay, which has been a dream of mine probably since as long as I've known you.
Yeah. Wow.
Since
That's,
kindergarten.
that's amazing.
So
No,
it's
I mean,
cool. It's
yeah.
cool. It's fun, and it was a combination of working, but it didn't feel like work to me, and applying the rules in the first book that I wrote of writing down your goals, programming your subconscious mind, you know, asking the universe to make this happen. And clearly this journey, I couldn't connect the dots going forward. Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots going forward, but you could always connect the dots looking behind you, and seeing the
Mm.
path that this has taken me. It was inevitable. And I do believe Monsterland is going to be on the big screen. I'm pretty confident that it's a good story. It's fun. It's 4-quadrant. My son, who's 12 years old, he read Monsterland when he was 6. And, my mom read it and she's 65. And, I have friends who read it, and it applies. It applies to all different,
Yeah.
age groups.
No, it definitely does, because it's not just horror. It's not just, I
Right.
mean, the same way, like I said, like a Jurassic Park, it just applied to so many,
And that was my inspiration. Michael Crichton.
yeah.
I'm a huge Michael Crichton
Oh,
fan.
yeah.
I've read everything by Michael Crichton 5 times over. And I mean, if I want to just be successful, I want to emulate someone who already has taken that path.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your podcast that you also have with your brother. So
Yeah.
how did that come about? What's that experience like?
So yeah, absolutely. My brother and I, we own a global car service. Our parents started a limousine service, if you will, but it's not really a limousine service. It's a car service. And, our father and mom started it, and it was like, they never, everything was always so private. That's the reason why I always kind of wanted to do an alias. And by the way, the books now being published are under my real name, because
Mhm.
the people in Hollywood, like the team behind me in Hollywood, said, you got to have your real name on the book. So anything coming out from here on out will be by Michael Okon. So my father passed away 3 years ago. It's good. I appreciate that. I mean, he smoked his whole life. He wasn't giving it up, and he went out the way he wanted to go out. And it was my brother and my opportunity to kind of peel back the layers of who our family business is, while exposing me as a writer. Because again, I wasn't on social media. I want to be behind the scenes. I want to be private. And then all of a sudden, the old man goes, and it's like, what can we do to kind of expose our company and kind of show who I am as an author and a writer and a screenwriter? So we started this podcast called Okon Bros, and it was like 6 to 7 months right before the pandemic started. And we started just kind of talking, my brother and I. My brother and I shared a bedroom for 14 years growing up.
Oh, wow.
Right in Syosset, right on Patricia Lane.
Yeah.
We shared a bedroom, and we always talk about business, about movies, about TV shows, about family and everything. So we started recording ourselves, and then we got the mics, and then we got the headsets, and then we started like really taking it seriously, and it became this kind of like Joe Rogan-ish interview. And we peeled back the layers of who our family business is, and then we kind of exposed who, it was like my big coming out party. Michael Okon, the kid from Syosset High School, is a writer, and we're touching about 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. LinkedIn, we have 15-20,000 followers between my brother and me, and Facebook became this kind of like this driving engine to build the podcast. So my brother does a lot of social media. I do social media, not to the extent of what he does, but it was this podcast has really, we've interviewed authors, we've interviewed YouTubers, we've interviewed diet gurus. I mean, our interests are so wide ranging that we're just getting warmed up. We were doing live streams throughout the pandemic, and then business kind of came back in the last 2 months, and we haven't had the time to do the live streams, but we're now that the summer's here and things are kind of like leveling out, we're going to start doing our live streams again. So it's Okon Bros on YouTube, and we're having a blast with it. I'm so happy that you're doing a podcast. I wish everyone would do podcasts. They're thrilling. They're fun. It's great. We love doing it.
No, it's great. I mean, the library has gotten into it. I'm just sort of tangentially involved with, I get to partake in the interview process, but I haven't really got into sort of the nuts and bolts of it. But, my librarian, Jessica, it's really her, she's been working on it a lot. And it's just, we wanted from the library, everyone who sort of founded it wanted it to be about broad interests, like how the library is. You can open a book on anything. So it's sort of like turn the page, and, that's kind of what we were hoping. So we don't just get authors, but we do love to, obviously interview authors and a lot of, Syosset alumni, because we have the best alumni. I mean, come on, Syosset, you can't beat. You have, everyone.
I got to tell you,
Natalie Portman, we got everyone.
Thank you for putting me in their league. I'm not there yet. I will be, but I'm not there yet. I got to tell you that those 4 years in the high school they stayed with me. It was such an imprint on my life. The people that I met, the behaviors, the lessons learned. Syosset High School was so impactful on my life as a person. The teachers, I don't remember one teacher's name from college, but really and truly, I don't remember one teacher's name from college, but I could tell you my entire 10th grade lineup. I could tell you everyone in my elementary school, Miss Lustig, Miss Macaluso, Miss Cantor, Miss Feinberg, and she left, and then we had Miss Israel. Miss Lerner, and then Miss Secundo.
We were together with those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you. I mean, again, like you have not aged a day. I swear to God.
We're leaving that in, Jessica. Wherever you
leave it in, because it's the absolute truth. And I saw. Oh my God, I saw Lauren Friedman.
Oh yes.
At my wife's like, we're doing an art class. I said, just book whatever you want.
Spray paint thing that everyone's doing.
Yeah, right? Spray paint thing. So I'm in. So I said, name the day. I'll take you guys, no problem. So I go, and we're all being like, taught how to spray paint. I'm looking across the room. It's freaking Lauren.
Yep.
I'm like, I woke up, I pulled down my mask. I'm like, Lauren. She's like, oh my God. She's like, you're gonna be on Sharon's thing. She's like,
we had dinner the night before, and she sent me a picture. So yes, we're all. It's a very, it's a.
But that's Syosset. That is Syosset. That is. We are so Like we are so interwoven. All of our, I don't want to get all spiritual, but like all of our spirit, our whole soul is interwoven in the Syosset community. It's like once you're in Syosset, once they pull you in, you don't get out. And
Yeah. It's a
I
great
loved,
community.
I'm
Yeah.
still here. I
Yeah.
never left.
Yeah, well, my parents are still here. Obviously, I'm here in the library, but I'm not that far. But yeah, it's a great community, and it
Yeah.
is hard to leave. Absolutely, and it's always great to have these reconnections and things like that. And
100%.
yeah, no,
100%. There's something in
okay,
the water for success in
yeah,
Syosset.
I think so. So okay, so now what are you currently writing? You're still writing the Monsterland, the different sequels for that. That's what's
Yes.
ongoing right now.
Yeah. So right now, like I'm knee deep into book 4, and each of the books has a different set of monsters. In book 1, we have the
Fun,
werewolf. Book 1 is werewolves, vampires, and zombies.
classic.
Book 2 is the glob, mummies, and a reanimated monster. Book
Oh, nice.
3 is a giant octopus, killer clowns of LA, and giants. Book 4 I'm doing right now is gremlins, goblins, and I don't want to spoil too much. And then
Oh,
book 5 is exorcism and demons and devils. So like
I love it.
it's it's so much fun because like again, this is like old hat for me. This is like just telling a fun story, like watching Goonies for the first time.
Which, by the way, I just watched Goonies for the first time with my older son, who is 10,
Oh my
and we just watched Jurassic Park. We're in a totally just trying to introduce him to movies from the past, and
It's
we
amazing.
just did the Back to the Future trilogy.
It's the
Um,
greatest.
yeah, so I mean, there's so many great. I know you're a movie guy, talking about movies.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to know if, speaking of zombie movies, there was Army of the Dead just came out.
Oh yeah.
Did you happen to watch it? Because
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I
What were
watched
your
it
thoughts? Yeah.
the day it came out. I mean, yeah, I'm a huge movie guy even after all these years. And it's
It was
there.
entertaining.
I'm sorry.
It was entertaining, was my take.
Yeah, look, I mean, what I love about writing is that it's my universe, it's my playground.
Mhm.
That if I want to kill this character, that's my decision. If I want to, write more women characters. Book 4, I'm all about women characters now. I'm
Cool.
really focusing on the females of the entire Monsterland universe, while still having Wyatt and his team.
Mhm.
Wyatt and Melvin still around. The same thing with Howard, but I'm really focusing on that now because that's what I want to write about. It's not, um, you know, Army of the Dead. It was great. It was a great movie. It was fun. I love that opening scene.
Mm,
They're doing Viva Las
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yep. Mhm.
And I thought that it was perfect for what Netflix wanted to put out
Yeah.
as like a good, fun zombie heist movie that just kind of checked all the boxes for standard Friday night entertainment. You know,
Yeah. Well said.
yeah, yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I was going through, just some of your books, just trying to, see what was in our collection and different things like that. And I stumbled upon something. Okay, Brood X, a firsthand account of the you're laughing, the great
Brood
cicada invasion.
Brood 10.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Brood
The
10.
Roman, no. That was my mistake because I typed it in as Brood X, thinking
Uh-huh.
everyone know, but it's not the Roman numeral, and it's got to be put as a Roman numeral.
Oh, well, I mean, come on, like this is the summer of the cicadas. So are you doing anything with this?
So call me a prophet, if you will, but like that was one of the first books I put out because I wrote about this cicada invasion in college. I wrote this screenplay. It was a found footage when found footage was coming out with Blair Witch and
Right. There we go.
not Chronicle was the other one, but Cloverfield. So
Oh,
like I
yeah.
was like, let me come out with this cicada invasion, but instead of making the cicada like these little bugs, kind of want to make them like kind of like overwhelmingly nasty. And I wrote this book, Brood 10, the Great Cicada Invasion, and it was a found footage book
Mm.
because I wrote it as a found footage film and about this guy Seth, who's his wife is pregnant, and it's the birth of it's the 9 months leading up to this huge invasion, and the birth of Mother Nature, if you will, that Mother Nature is giving birth to these cicada, and Seth is playing it like, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. It's nothing. It's just a bunch of bugs. They can't do anything. And it turns out that they overwhelm the system and they destroy the power lines. They're killing people. There's no more truck deliveries. There's no more food supply. There's no more running water
Ugh.
because these bugs are overwhelming society. And it takes place in Syosset. It was I lived right by the high school, and I just visualized everything happening in the book, about these cicada, and how just a simple bug invasion could cause a breakdown in society. And his wife, Lara, is delivering this baby during an epidemic of cicada.
Who knew?
I don't even know what you want to call it, but like, I can't tell you. So like in Monsterland, I was talking about the virus.
Oh, wait. No. Look, that is what I actually have.
Okay.
Yeah, because
it's written there, and I wrote that in 2014.
It's written, and yeah. So I was just going to ask you, because you do seem to have like a real, I don't know, your thumbs on the pulse of something.
I'm a prophet. I swear to God. And that's not ego talking. Like
okay. So, all right, here we go. So you're talking about, the virus, right?
Yes.
So there was no outbreak of the virus in California, but the entire country's economy suffered as the world dealt with the pandemic that broke out 2 years ago. The virus started in East Asia. What? But quick thinking from the World Health Organization isolated it with containment camps. And it goes on to, I was just like, what do you know,
Sharon,
that you're not telling us?
Sharon, I'm a prophet. I swear to God. Like, and then we're living it. And I'm like, can you imagine if it was zombies? Like, cause that's what I was writing. That, and in book 3, you learn how the virus actually starts.
Oh boy.
Was
it a wet market?
You know what? I always try to think ahead of my books. I love writing series. I hate writing. I did one and done called The History Major.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything else is pretty much like its own universe. But there was a reason why I wrote that, because I know by book 3, even book 4, who started the virus. That wasn't just some random line that I put in.
Yeah.
I wrote that in 2014.
That's wild. Yeah.
Go figure, you know?
Yeah. No, I picked up on that right away. I was like, oh.
Yeah. No, I know. My mom pointed that out to me. She's like, you wrote this. I'm like, yeah. I know. And then with the pandemic, what happened this past year, it's just been, it's disappointing what happened to the country, but I'm glad we're coming out of it.
Absolutely. I keep saying that the trauma that we sort of went through, that beginning, like the first couple of weeks when we didn't know, really, I kind of felt like, all right, we didn't know we were going to have food. All the supermarket shelves were empty. We didn't know what was going to happen, how bad it was going to get. We're just getting these snippets of news reports from all over the world that it's coming. I mean, there was real trauma. Like, just, people were really, it was. Yeah.
So as a family business, we survived 9/11. As a family business, we survived the writer's strike.
Oh, yeah.
We survived the 2008 economic recession crash, the great housing collapse, the credit crisis. We survived all that. This pandemic beat them all. Oh, yeah. We survived it, but I had to sell some personal real estate. I just like you, are we going to have food? Right. I have freezers in my basement. We're preppers, as you could read from my books. I'm a prepper. I have 4 freezers in my basement that I stocked up right in like February, end of February, 2020. Real quick story. I had the flu in January 2020. A week after that, I got vertigo. So, and then 2 weeks after that, my family and I, we were going to Vegas for a limousine convention, for a ground travel convention. And I couldn't go because my head was just spinning. I was just not myself. And I'm watching the news, and I don't know, like, I have to be very careful with this, but like, I believe in mediumship. My mom is a medium. I go to mediums. I've heard from my father at different mediums, really crazy stuff. And my dad warned me in 2019. I went to a medium by the name of George Anderson. He's out in Comac. And I go to him about twice a year. It's always my dad comes through, tells me what's going on. And my dad said before the words coronavirus were on anyone's lips, before it was even anything, before COVID was on anyone's lips, my dad told me in November 2019, you better buckle up for 2020. I'm getting the chills right now.
Oh,
You
wow.
better buckle up for 2020. It is going to be turbulent.
Wow.
And then in January, I was sick, so I didn't go anywhere. February, I was getting planned to go there, but I couldn't because I was dealing with this vertigo BS. And then I started hearing the news at the end of February. There's a virus that's coming. There's a virus that's spreading. I went and I cleaned out ground beef, chicken,
Yeah.
pasta, anything non-perishable. And I loaded up these freezers. And I feel that the books that I've written prepared me and my family for what was to come. We didn't leave our houses for a year.
Yeah.
We just started traveling a couple weeks ago because we're fully vaxxed, but we literally did not leave our homes for a year. And it allowed me the time to write and, to be with my family. We kept our children home. They didn't go, they were virtual, but it was writing Monsterland, writing Brood 10. It really, I'm not kidding when I say it really prepared me and my family and I for calamity, because this was horrible.
Yeah.
I knew about a dozen people that died from COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Family members, close people. And yes, they were older. And a guy recently, someone that I knew at my golf club, 50 something years old, died of COVID. This was horrible, and we lost everything. Our family business, we went down to zero, nothing, last April or May, and we're clawing our way back. It's finally getting busier again. There's productions, people are traveling, but my God, that was art imitating life imitating art, if you will.
Yeah, it felt like a movie. It really did. It felt like the beginning of a movie, or that nobody wanted to watch.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But on to better things.
I'm glad we're all out of it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for the people that did pass, but we got vaxxed. My son is getting his second shot in 2 days.
That's good to hear. Yeah.
Would love my daughter's 8 years old, and I'm hoping in the next month or two that they're going to say, all right, the next batch.
No, mine are young as well, and it's tough because so my older son is 10, but my younger guy is 4. So it's we kept them home too. My older son is still he's still doing virtual learning. The younger guy just went back to daycare. Once my parents were fully vaccinated, we felt that was time. But it was tough decisions across the board. And everybody, we all had different things to contend with, and but just that experience definitely gave you more time at home with family, made you think differently about a lot of different things.
I think this is going to be very traumatic on people. In the same way, my grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, and the people that he knew were all traumatized by seeing the horrors and everything. I'm not comparing the pandemic to a Holocaust, but I think that this generation is going to be really, really messed up from dealing with this. It's scary to even go back out. It's nerve-wracking. I'm flying again, and I'm vaxxed. Do I wear a mask? I was in Las Vegas last week. Nobody was wearing a mask. Nobody. One person out of maybe 200 people was wearing a mask. And they say, if you're vaxxed, take it off. So I took it off. It felt good, but it felt really, really strange.
Yeah. I mean, I still think in the community in general, we're still, as of today, still seeing most people are wearing masks in the library and just around. And, it is a comfort level thing as well. I feel like even people who are vaccinated are still not sure, and just, trying to play it safe a little bit. And hopefully everybody's trying to respect that. It's no,
absolutely.
You don't want to make people feel bad for wearing it or for not wearing it. It's a strange time, just, all around.
To say the least.
All that. Yeah.
To say the least. But
yeah.
Glad we're getting out of it. And yes, I hate to know what else from Monsterland may come true.
Well, I mean, vampires, werewolves, zombies, who wins ultimately? I don't know. What you want to give that away?
Find out. You got to read the book.
You got to read the book to find out. So we are participating in something this summer called Summer Scares. So happy to have this be part of that, as
Thank you.
as you know, being able to talk about that over the summer when we release this episode. And absolutely would love to keep in touch. I want to know everything you're going to be working on. It's just very exciting to see. I just don't understand, like, currently, like, how do you have time to write? I mean, you're running a business, you have 2 young kids. Like, how do you make it all happen? Like, what's the secret?
Great question. And the answer is, I got to tell you, before Hollywood noticed me, before the entertainment industry noticed me, I was writing 7 days a week. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I didn't watch TV at all. I was just writing every night, and it was fun. It was exciting. It was like, oh, I got another story. I'm going to put this down. How I write is I write the script. It takes about 3 weeks to write a screenplay, and it takes about a month and a half to finish the book. And then it takes years to hone. I added 35,000 words to that version of Monsterland that you held up. Really, you just find the time for it. So like now that Hollywood has taken over, now that kind of like the entertainment industry has my books, they want you to pump the brakes. All right, now we don't need 4 books a year. We just want Monsterland. So focus your time on Monsterland. So I focus that, and then it takes 6 weeks to write. It took the screenwriter 6 weeks to write the second draft of it. It took him 4 months to write the first draft. So like, I'm go. And to me, finding the time to write is like finding the time to eat dinner. It's like,
you do it.
Sharon, my wife, is in bed by 9:30. She's beat from the day with the kids. My kids are in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock, and instead of sitting and watching TV, which I don't really like to do, I write. On Friday nights, I do watch Bill Maher. I've watched every episode of Bill Maher for the last 20 something years. I love him as a comedian. Don't agree with everything he says, but I think he's a great comedian. I love his show. So that's the only time that I'm really not writing. But now, since Hollywood has taken over, and now they're like, all right, now we'll look at this book. I don't have the frenzy that I was writing kind of like the entire 2010 to 2020, right? There's definitely a deep breath. Now I can watch Game of Thrones. Now
you're not missing much.
I got to tell you, I watched right when Monsterland hit it, right when I got published, and I didn't have to write every single night. My wife and I did all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones in about 3 months.
Yeah.
And I loved the first 4 or 5 seasons, and then it got progressively sillier as the seasons went. And now I'm reading his books.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's poetry.
Yeah.
Incredible. So now my wife and I are rewatching Game of Thrones because I don't have to be writing every single night, because kind of something was taking a hold, and now it's not up to me anymore. I have the book's there, the manuscript is there. But I've also written 3 other manuscripts during quarantine.
Wow.
I wrote a book called Dragged Down Deep.
Okay.
Which is Indiana Jones meets the creature from the Black Lagoon. It's a modern day version of Indiana Jones. And it's about this cryptozoologist who has to find this creature that's terrorizing a town in the Hamptons. This
love it.
Lagoon creature. I can send you the draft if you want. I'm always looking for beta readers, Sharon.
Yeah, great.
So, I definitely, so I have that manuscript, and that's ready to go as soon as they tell me, okay, we're ready for the next thing. And then I have this other thing, which unfortunately it's been done a billion times already, but I have this superhero high school. It's called Grady Wills. It's Willpower with Grady Wills. And it's about this, I hate to use the word autistic, but these kids that are on the spectrum, they become superheroes. So
nice.
It's using their willpower to, it's like my version of X-Men, but with teenagers. So that's called Willpower. And I have that, and I'm waiting until they say, okay, what else do you got? And then I have this other series that I'm toying with book 2. I have the screenplay for book 2, but I'm like kind of like meandering into the second book. I have this book called Witches Protection Program.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and it's about these two factions of witches that have been fighting for millennia, and it kind of all culminates to a head in New York City, in modern day New York City. And that I was working on a screenplay with my my former agent, who I moved on from her. She was with Paradigm. It took me a year, and because again, everything in Hollywood takes time. It takes time. It took me an entire year. It took me 3 weeks to write the original draft of the script, and it took me an entire year to write the second draft.
Oh, wow.
Because you write it, and then they get back to you 3 months later, and then they go, "I changed this, 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 and this." So then you write it, and you hand it in, and then they get back to you 3 months later, change this, 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 and this. So everything right now is kind of in limbo with what's going to happen with Monsterland, which I have a very good feeling that something good and big is going to happen with it. So,
well, we definitely can't wait. We're watching
Thank
with you. And
Thank you.
yeah, well, thank you again so much. I'm really, a big fan of your writing, and I absolutely plan to keep in touch. And,
Same.
we have lots to look forward to, and you have your podcast we can listen to. Once again, is it Okon Bros or?
Yeah, Okenbro,
Okenbro.
OKON-BROS. And when the movie gets made, we plan on doing a studio, my brother and I. We plan on making Okon Bros Productions and
Awesome.
making movies. I mean, that's the dream, right? That's the dream. So let's see what my manager can do with Monsterland. I have a good feeling that a studio is going to take it. So,
Awesome.
but I need beta readers, Sharon. I need help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and honestly though, if you're looking for some teens to give feedback, I
Yes.
certainly have a group of fantastic teen volunteers. They're always looking for community service opportunities.
Amazing.
So that might be a possibility. We can work something out.
That'd be incredible.
Awesome.
That'd be incredible. Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank
And
you.
I love talking
This
to
was so much
fellow
fun.
people that I've grown up with, and it's great to see you. And yeah, I joined. Oh, so that was the other thing. I joined Facebook after not joining Facebook for 15 years, however long, 20 years. And I joined Facebook in August of 2020 for the first time. And it's been so nice connecting with all my old friends and family from the high school days,
Yeah, you see, sometimes social media can be a good thing, right?
Absolutely. Or it could be poison. You're poison, Sharon.
Either or.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And again, this is Sharon with the Syosset Library's Turn the Page podcast. And my guest today was?
Michael Okon.
Yeah,
Soon to be
only.
Monsterland famous Michael Okon. But yeah, no, all my books, Michael Samuels has 3 self-help books on Amazon, and all my Michael Phillip Cash books are still there. And Michael Okon, I have Witches Protection Program is still around, but Monsterland is not. Monsterland has been taken off Amazon because they're expecting some big things with it. So we'll see. Everyone keep their fingers crossed.
We will. All right, great. Thanks again so much, Michael. And that's all. Take care.
Thank you.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.